What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fire Sports 6 podcast. Boy, do I look like a douchebag, bro. I'm like looking at myself on the on my computer of the recording. I look like a frat boy douchebag right now, but I don't care. We represent the Brooklyn Nets today, and it was another NBA draft lottery, and it was another absolute disgraceful display of bias by Adam Silver and the NBA. Another year, another lottery, and the Nets get fucked. Shocker. The Nets get fucked. We missed out on, your Jeremiah Fearses last year, your Colin Knipples. They had a pretty good chance at a top 5 pick. You missed out on your Cooper Flags, your Ace Bailey, etc. Whatever. Wasn't that we didn't fully tank. This year we fully tanked. We had the tied for the best odds to get the number 1 overall pick. We had a 50% chance to get a top 4 pick. The lowest pick we could get was 7. We're picking number 6. Now I just gotta hope that a Darius Acuff or a Keaton Wagler falls there, because I'll tell you what, the further we get from college basketball season, the more skeptical I get on Kingston Flemings. That's just the reality of the situation. And he has a tremendous first step. He has a tremendous burst at the top of the key. He can get downhill and finish around the rim, but his jump shooting is incredibly inconsistent. And you have a guy in Darius Acuff who can display similar types of bursts at the top of the game, get downhill, and then playmake for people, playmake for his teammates better than Kingston Flemings could playmake. It's just Kingston Flemings is pretty solid defensively. Darius Acuff is not. And Keaton Wagler is like the perfect fit for this type of team the Nets are building, which is Europeans, pass first, team basketball, kind of like what San Antonio used to do back in the Popovich days. That's what it is. That's what the Nets want to do with your Yegor Demins, with your Nolan Traores, with your Benjamin Serafs, your Drake Powells, all of the picks from last year, your Noah Clowney's, your Nick Claxton's. Like, let's play good, solid team basketball. What point guard does that better than Kingston Flemings in this year's draft? And he was surrounded by a bunch of 24-year-old Europeans in Illinois, and they made it all the way to the Final Four. And Kingston Flemings, like, people are like, oh, well, Acuff had 49 against Alabama. Alabama was one of the worst defenses in the tournament last year in the power conference level that made March Madness. Kingston Flemings had like 47 against Purdue and Mackey. Like, there's levels to this shit. So I have Flemings slightly over Acuff. We'll get into all our rankings. I'm going to do a mock draft for the boys today. That's what we're going to talk about on today's episode. But yeah, the Nets just get fucked. The Nets get fucked and they get fucked and they get fucked. That's just what they do. The Nets are whatever, bro. I don't even know. It's whatever. I'm not upset about it. But yeah, I do look like a total and utter D-bag. I do understand that. We're going to flip the hat back around. And this is a Net. I don't get to wear the Nets jerseys often, but if you're watching on YouTube, look at the font on here. And they got the side on the dude. This is when the Nets were when Harden, Kyrie, KD was the best basketball I've ever watched in my entire life. Unironically. But I'm going to do a draft. I'm going to do a mock draft today. I think I'm just going to do the lottery picks. And then starting next Monday, mock draft Mondays are back. We're going to mock draft Monday. When is the NBA draft, actually? Here, let's look that up. When is the NBA? Because I won't do it every Monday, June 23rd. Okay, so it's a little bit less than a month away. I think we'll probably have 4 or 5-ish Mondays to do a mock draft Monday. And we'll just lock in. I don't know. Whoa, this consensus ranking is just awful. Holy cow. Oh, this is awful. I'm going to have to be... Bro, what is this consensus rankings? This one that I'm looking at here, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll just share the screen. But they have Darius Acuff. This is the worst consensus ranking I have ever seen in my entire life. They have Darius Acuff at 16. What the fuck am I looking at here? Yes, leave the site. Mock draft simulator. Sorry, this is bad podcasting if you're listening to it, but I'm on this new website. This isn't my typical one that I would use for the NFL draft. So we're on a new website here, and the consensus rankings are just awful. Whatever. I'm going to have to do a lot of scrolling, which is very, very annoying. Like, where is Keaton Wagler, bro? What the hell am I looking at here? Where is Kingston Flemings is 37. I don't want to be scrolling for a gazillion. Kylan Boswell is on here before Keaton Wagler. Is that a joke? All right, I'm gonna have to pause it and come back to this because this is a joke. All right, chat, we're back. We finally figured it out. We're using a completely different website. Fanspo, that was just a disgraceful display. They had a chance to advertise themselves to a good 40 people here, and the interface was just awful. It said last updated 17 hours ago. I don't know what planet we live on where an updated big board would have Keaton Wagler behind Kylan Boswell when they were on the same team and one player was infinitely more productive. So that's just a joke from Fanspo, but we have a mock draft in front of us. We finally did an NBA lottery. The Nets got Oh, we're not going to say it. Not going to say it. We have an NBA. We have an NBA draft order here, so we're going to do a little bit of a mock draft. The Wizards. Congratulations to the Wizards. At least it's not like if Chicago or like one of the Warriors. Like if a big market and a big team that's been good got the first overall pick, I would have been pissed. My friend Aiden is a Wizards fan. I'm happy for Aiden. He's suffered the way in similar ways that I have in our sports fandom. So I'm happy that the Wizards get AJ DeBonsa. Why can't start draft simulation? Rounds. One round. Choose draft team. Draft for all teams. There we go. AJ DeBonsa. Pretty easy. Number one, Utah on the clock. Now, here's the thing with Utah. The Utah Jazz are headed absolutely in the right direction. Ace Bailey last year, Jaren Jackson, and now they can add Darren Peterson. Darren Peterson and Ace Bailey. Like Ace Bailey was talked about in the same breath as Cooper Flagg as the potential number one overall pick last year before his season kind of tailed off a little bit. His post-draft or his pre-draft process wasn't the greatest, but he is an elite level talent. And he started playing well towards the back half of the year. You add Darren Peterson, who might have the highest ceiling out of any player in this draft, arguably, who's one of the most skilled scorers, if not the most skilled scorer in this year's draft, who is a solid defender, is a good athlete. Darren Peterson, Ace Bailey, Jaren Jackson. The Jazz are cooking up something. They are cooking up something, and they're cooking the way a small market team needs to cook, and that is through the draft. And they got a little bit lucky with Ace Bailey falling all the way to 5, and then they got some really good lottery odds here. I mean, I like the move to go and get Jaren Jackson Jr. So I think Darren Peterson now to the Utah Jazz makes that team a real problem in the years coming up. Number 3, the Memphis Grizzlies. I honestly don't know who the hell is on this team right now. Zach Edey, Ja Morant. That's my knowledge on the Memphis Grizzlies because they traded Bane. No more Dylan Brooks. No more Jaren Jackson, obviously, like I just talked about. So who is even on this Grizzlies team right now? Chat, I'll let you know. My NBA knowledge is not the same. Cedric Howard, Jalen Wells, Santi Aldama. Yikes. This is awful. KCP. Why is it? It all says out, 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 out. Either way, they need some. It looks like they need some talent. They need some athletes. They need some athletes like Santi Aldama, Zach Edey. And I feel like Caleb Wilson is better than Cam Boozer. I feel like watching Caleb Wilson was a more impressive, more fun watch than watching Cam Boozer at Duke. Not to mention the load Caleb Wilson had to carry compared to the load Cam Boozer had to carry. And that doesn't show up in the box score because Boozer led Duke in, I'm pretty sure, points, rebounds, assists, blocks. And he was that good. He is that good of a player. But I feel like Caleb Wilson's ceiling is just so much higher than Cam Boozer's. They're both 6'9", but Wilson moves so much better. I think he's going to be an elite defender relatively quickly at the NBA level. I also think his ceiling is higher if he develops a jump shot. His handle is good. He's obviously a problem coming downhill. His dunks are one of the best highlight. It's just highlight after highlight, tomahawk after tomahawk. He's elite defensively. He's a great rebound. He's a great rebound. He's a walking double-double. He is nasty. And he has a little bit of a clutch gene. I remember a game against Virginia in UVA early in the season. He had a turnaround fader off the glass for the game. I don't know if it was off the glass. A turnaround fader for the game. He was great defensively, clutch defensively in that game. And UNC's team surrounding Caleb Wilson wasn't as good as Duke's. And Caleb Wilson did beat Cam Boozer and Duke. And when they played head-to-head, one player looked better than the other. So I think Memphis goes Caleb Wilson here. And then if you're the Bulls, there's a drop-off after these top 4 picks. And I know there's going to be a lot of Darius Acuff buzz because of how much of a showstopper he was, how fun he was to watch at college and in the college level. And he has the Calipari guard tag with him. And Acuff is a dog. Don't get me wrong. He is disgusting. But Cam Boozer was on a whole nother level. He was the best player in college basketball last year. He can do it all. He's what you need at the big man position. If you're a big and you can't shoot, you're not going to have that high of a ceiling. And he's a little bit sus defensively, I think, at the next level, but he's a good interior scorer. He's a 3-level scorer. He can shoot the 3 ball. He's a terrific passer. Defensively is a little bit of an issue, but he is going to be a fantastic player at the next level. I love me some Cam Boozer. And then this is where it's these three guys right here. Really, it's Acuff and Wagler that I've just been going back and forth on in my brain. But Kingston Flemings is the 7 here, and then I think I have Michael Brown right after them. Nate Amens in that mix as well because of his ceiling, and I think he's getting a little bit underrated for the season he had at Tennessee. I mean, Nate Amens still averaged 20 points per game as a true freshman in the SEC on a team that could not space the floor. Like if you get we'll get into Nate Amens later, but I think the Clippers, you can't have a backcourt of Darius Acuff and Darius Garland defensively. That is just a disaster. But they do go guard here. I think Keaton Wagler, I have him right now ranked slightly ahead of Darius Acuff, but it is marginal. It is incredibly marginal. And the reason it's marginal is because I think they're both terrific scorers. They can both create their own shot. Acuff's better getting downhill, but Wagler can still get downhill. I think Acuff has a little bit of a better handle. I think Wagler's a little bit of a better shooter, but Wagler isn't a traffic cone defensively. And he's not a terrific elite defender, but teams weren't seeking him out. And although Acuff does have higher assist numbers, I feel like Wagler is still just an overall better passer, although it's really close. I mean, if he does Acuff did a great job providing for teammates. And the Nets are a team that like defense matters to them, kind of. But I think Darius Acuff at 6 to the Nets would be awesome for Brooklyn. Darius Acuff, Igor Dimin backcourt for the next 50 years. Look out. His athleticism is off the charts. His first step is ridiculous. He seemed a little bit undersized. He's listed at 6'3". I don't know. I feel like he looked small for Alabama, but he says 6'3". I guess we're going to go 6'3". So that's not ideal size, but it's definitely not small by any stretch of the imagination. And then the Kings at 7. The Kings need a whole lot, but I just feel like Kingston Flemings has a safer foot. Michael Brown's a really solid player too. I mean, his bag work is nasty. He's an elite scorer, and he's got really good size at the guard position at 6'5". So Michael Brown isn't off the board here. If he was fully healthy, he would be in this top 10 spot. Nate Amens off the board here. Would it surprise me if a team wants to gamble on his upside? Dalen Swain is on here. I'm pretty sure Dalen Swain's going back to Texas. So I don't know how to feel about that. And where's Braden Burries? Braden Burries at 9 as well. And Burries is such a good defender as well that I think he's going to have really high volume here. But I think it's Kingston Flemings all day. I think that is your top 7. That they just went off the board in the order that I have them as well. So I'm just ignoring team fit. But who even is the guard for the Kings? Like, who's on there? Can't tell you I watched too much Kings basketball this year. Who are their guards? Russell Westbrook. That's a good fit too. Russell Westbrook, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis. So yeah, they need a guard. So it's a perfect fit for them as well. The Hawks are nasty. Dyson Daniels, CJ McCollum. They need a guard play too. They need to get younger at the guard position. They have good wings. Who's the big man in Atlanta? Am I stupid? I'm definitely stupid. My NBA knowledge is really lacking compared in comparison to my NFL. It's just it's not a good feeling. Okongwu, okay. They could go big man here, but I think they need to get younger at the guard position. And Braden Burries is just nasty defensively. He gives you the scoring prowess, the skill as a scorer isn't as high as Michael Brown, but he's still a good 3-level scorer. He can shoot the 3-ball, but Michael Brown isn't as good defensively as Braden Burries is. The Mavericks, if the Mavericks can pair up Michael Brown with Cooper Flagg, that is a really solid 1-2 young core to build upon. The Bucks at 10. Oh, the Bucks need a guard as well, dude. Who even is on the Bucks? Was it like Otto Porter Jr. or not Otto Porter Jr.? Is it Otto Porter Jr.? Obviously Giannis. Let's look at this. Ryan Rollins, Kevin Porter Jr., Miles Turner, Bobby Porter. It's not Otto Porter Jr. Kyle Kuzma. This is awful. They need best player available. So let's take a look. Best player available here. I would say like Nate Amens probably isn't the best player right now, but he definitely has the highest upside out of all of these guys. LeBaron Philon has a wicked first step. He's basically unguardable, but he was unguardable at Alabama. I'm pretty sure he averaged close to like 25 points per game. But Alabama doesn't play defense, and they played a really fast-paced type of basketball that's gonna favor a guy like LeBaron Philon. But he is a dog, great shot creator. The game he played against Tennessee against Nate Amens, he was just took over in the second half, and he was a lot of fun to watch. So I think LeBaron Philon here isn't crazy, but he's just an awful defender. I don't think they're going to go big man with Ademara, but there's real value in it for a team to get a guy like Ademara. Koa Pete wouldn't be crazy here, but again, I think they just need guards. So I think they go with LeBaron Philon at 9. The Warriors at 10. The Warriors go and get Nate Ament. The Warriors go and they do it. They go and get Nate Ament. They get the project everybody's calling him, but I think he needs to get better at attacking the rim. But again, like Felix Okpara and JP Estrella, the two big men for Tennessee last year, they're not floor stretchers, and they're going to get way more spacing at the NBA level for Nate Ament than he got in tennis or at Tennessee, and I think that's going to open things up, open up driving lanes where he has a pretty decent handle. He can get his own shot. He can shoot over everybody. He was just too reliant on his jump shooting because Felix Okpara and JP Estrella were down low all the time. There's just a lot of bodies. There's a lot of help defense when you try to get to the rim. So he's going to have more of an opportunity to show if he can get to the rim. He needs to put on a few LBs. He's more of a finesse finisher. For 6'10", I want you yamming on people, right? So he's going to have to develop as a finisher. He's going to have to develop his handle a little bit and obviously still improve the jump shot, but he is a terrific jump shooter. Now we get into my knowledge is getting tested here a little bit because I like Christian Anderson a whole lot. I like Malik Thomas a whole lot. But every mock that I see has guys like Quintans and Hans Steinbach. I have not, like, Quintans got hurt. I didn't watch any Steinbach. I didn't watch any Washington basketball last year, really. And if I did, I was not paying attention to the players on Washington. So it's like we're in a tough spot here. But I think the Thunder at 12, they go out and they get Yaxel Lendeborg. And everybody's mocking Lendeborg there. That's a good fit. I mean, he's a really versatile wing defender. And then that's like their biggest weakness right now, OKC, is another guy on the wing. Like they have J-Dub. They have unbelievable amount of depth at the guard position, whether it's Caruso, AJ Mitchell, Cason Wallace, Aaron Witt. Like they have so much depth at the guard position. What is their depth on the wing? Like it's Jalen Williams. Let's look at their depth chart. Let's take a peek. So Cason Wallace, I didn't even mention Lou Dort. Like I feel like they could use another like 4, an athletic, stretchy 4. That's not Chet Holmgren, even though Chet Holmgren is a stretch 4. Like they're so good. They're so good. So you add a guy that I think is ready to help out now, is a freak athlete, was dominant it was the best player in college basketball last year in my eyes, and he started to hit a 3. He's starting to shoot a 3 ball a little bit. Where is he? Oh, did I already pick him? All right, he's already on there. And he was starting to hit the threes a little bit. If he can shoot, he's going to be nice. So I think they get a really good, versatile defender here. Now, the Heat are interesting. The Heat are interesting. Do they go with the amazing White backcourt, Bennett Sturts, Tyler Hero? That could be a thing. Koa Pete is still on the board here, and Koa Pete's a terrific defender as well. I remember he locked up what was the guy from Iowa State? Wow, my gosh. Johnson from Iowa State, their best player. Their best player. He got hurt in March. He got hurt in the first round. And he seems like a Heat culture guy, so we'll go Koa Pete at 13. The Hornets at 14. The Hornets like to shoot a lot of threes. And Bennett Sturts is a terrific shooter. They do need a big man, though. With Moussa Diabate. Ryan Kalkbrenner was solid as a rookie, but he's still not Ademara. So Ademara to the Hornets get a nice 7-footer who can be a presence at the rim. They get infinitely better defensively inserting Ademara onto that roster. Now we're getting to the part of this is why I only want to do the lottery, because we're getting deep. We're getting to the part my knowledge is getting tested. We need to lock in a little bit in this NBA draft because I'm not familiar with a lot of these guys if they didn't play a whole lot at the college level. But who's on the clock here? Chicago back on the clock. Who did I have them picking in the first round? I think I had them taking Boozer. So they could double dip on the backcourt here, or they could get a really good shooting guard or scoring guard in Bennett Sturts, who's just an absolute assassin. Joshua Jefferson, thank you. That's what I was talking about, that Koa Pete locked up. They could get Isaiah Evans, who finally had a little bit of a clip on him. Really athletic guard, terrific defender. So he's a guy I keep an eye out on. But I don't know. Let's just get some of these guys that I don't know off the board. And someone in my chat said that Haynes Steinbach is a dog. And yeah, that's what we're going to do for Chicago. They're going to get a tall white boy. Nice. I don't know. I didn't watch him. I don't know about him. Dalen Swain, I'm pretty sure he's going back to Texas, so he's going to stay on this board for a long time. I'm pretty sure I read that. The Memphis Grizzlies back on the clock. They need a whole lot. They went, Caleb Wilson in the first round, so they go and get one of the best scorers in the country last year, Bennett Sturts. Shout out Drake University, where he transferred from. OKC back on the clock, and yeah, OKC is gonna get even better defensively with the guy in Isaiah Evans who has great range, great versatility, great athlete, and he can yam. The Charlotte Hornets, they need big guy. They need a big. They got a big in Ademar. They also like to shoot a lot of threes, so we're gonna give them Christian. But now that Christian Anderson's a pass first guard, believe it or not. Cameron Carr, not too high. Where's the other Baylor guy? All right, we're getting to the point here. I don't know any of that. Where's the guy from Mexico? Just give him the guy from Mexico. I don't know where the guy from. Shout out Tyler Tanner. Like I know these guys. These guys are more at my pace here. Zuby Etchafor, Tyler Tanner, Terrace Reed, Alex Karaman. How many All Americans are in here? Like this is my speed. These guys up here, I don't know any of these fucking guys. And then Dalen Swain's going back to school. I'm almost certain. Morris Johnson is a dog, though. They get some help in the front court. They'll go with Morris Johnson. There we go. Nice and easy. Toronto. Toronto is going to go. What is Toronto needs guard play. Toronto needs guard play. So Toronto, they have Emmanuel Quickly. They do have Emmanuel Quickly. They could use a 2-guard. Like Scotty Barnes, they could use a 2-guard. They could use a true center as well. So I think 2 guards. Malik Thomas, boom, done. True 2-guard, gonna go out and get buckets. Shout out Malik Thomas. The Spurs on the clock. The Spurs love them some defense. The Spurs could use. I don't know. Yeah, Cameron Carr. Fuck it. Get some athletic defensive nuance here. Jaden Quinton's is a dog. We'll get him off my screen. Get him off my fucking screen. I don't know anything about it. Now we're getting into this is the area where I like to live. This is the area where I like to live with some of these sleepers. Fuck Philly. Get this Corinne Lopez guy off the board. We just want to get to the guys that I know, the guys that I can talk about. And here we are with your Chris Sinak Jr.'s, who was a little bit underwhelming, but he was a higher prospect than Kingston Flemings was at Houston. Texas Tech guard Christian Anderson was one of my favorite players. He's a terrific passer. He's one of the best pure point guards, and he's a great shot creator. I think he's going to be a steal at the next level. And Atlanta does need a guard. What did they win? Michael Brown. I forget who they went in the first round. I forget. Pause. Let's see. Oh, I can pause it. Atlanta. I had Atlanta going Braden Burries. And Braden Burries can play. Braden Burries is a 2-guard. Like Jaden Bradley was running that offense. So they go with Braden Burries and Christian Anderson to go with Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson and Okonkwo and Nikhil Alexander, not Okonkwo, Okongwu and Nikhil Alexander Walker. That's nasty work. The Hawks are cooking here. The Knicks. What do the Knicks need? The Knicks could use a big guy. The Knicks. Oh, bro, that would be if Zuby Etchafor stayed in New York. Great interior defensive presence. They could use a 2-guard as well, though, who can score the basketball a little bit. Abuka Corey is a dog. He is nasty. So is Tyler Tanner. Tyler Tanner was now 20 points per game in the SEC. Vanderbilt, second-year player. He's a dog. Richie Saunders, just an absolute sniper on the perimeter. I think I have a home for Richie Saunders when we get to it, though, as well. And he was injured for BYU, but he went off against Kansas in Allen Fieldhouse last year after Darren Peterson was sitting out for the second half of that game, and he almost single-handedly willed BYU back into that game. So shout out Richie Saunders down here. We will get to him. Ryan Conmo is another solid 2-guard. There's some Jaden Bradley, Trayvon Brazil, good stretch 4. There's some good players in this year's draft, man. The 2 Houston guys, I'll take Jacoby. Okay. I'm getting too fired up about the day 3 picks because of college basketball. Either way, the New York Knicks, let's keep him in New York. Zuby Etchafor, let's keep him in New York. He's not going to give you much offensively at the next level. Instead of a low post, get to the basket type of score, but defensively, he's going to bring a real good presence. He could be a good guy if they want to go small in the playoffs next year or two. Shout out Zuby Etchafor. Keep him in New York, St. John's guy. Chris Sinak Jr., the Lakers. What do the Lakers need? Lakers got guard play. Their backcourt's set. Lakers are going to need some front court for sure. So get Sinak off my board. He was underwhelming, but he was very inconsistent. He was underwhelming. Not even a top 3-4 player on Houston last year. Probably Tugler was better. Flemings was better. Uzan Sharp were better. Not ideal. He's a top 10 prospect, so he's going to have some value based on his high school accolades. But yeah, that's as far as he's going. The Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets need defense, bro. The Nuggets need defense, and all of the good defenders are really off the board. Joshua Jefferson is a solid defender, I guess. But they have Aaron Gordon down low, Jamal Murray. Cam Johnson, Christian Brown. They could use another guard that can defend a little bit. Tyler Tanner isn't the greatest defender. He's a little bit undersized at the position. Abuka Corey's a traffic cone defensively. And Dalen Swain is going back to Texas. I don't know how many times. Same with like Milan Momcilovic, who's sitting here. He's going back to Texas. So there's not any really good defender. Like Ruben Chinlayu is a nasty defender. Actually, they could run Twin Towers type of stuff with him and Jokic, but then that messes up the Nuggets spacing, and they like to space the floor out. So Chinlayu could be a shout here, but that seems a little bit too early. Damn, I don't know what to do with the Nuggets here. They trade out. They trade out. They trade back. But we'll go. I'm not familiar with Amari Allen's game too much, quite frankly. We'll just go Joshua Jefferson is probably the best defender out of these guys right here besides Terrace. I mean, they could go Terrace, but Terrace can't shoot. Joshua Jefferson can space the floor at least a little bit, so they go with Joshua Jefferson of Iowa State. Uh, Work. There we go. The Celtics. Oh, the Celtics. The Celtics need front court as well. They could go with a guy like Terrace Reed. They could go with a guy like Roman Chinley or Ruben Chinley. There he is. They don't really need any guard play. Like they don't want to get another bad defender who's just a good scorer in Abuka Corey, who I think is probably. I feel like he'd go back to Stanford. Tunde Yesu, there he is, freak athlete. Tyler Tanner, good scoring guard. Like these scoring guards, Amari Allen, don't know anything about him. Get him off the fucking board. There we go. Minnesota, dude. If Minnesota gets a guy like Abuka Corey, that him and Ant in the backcourt is nasty, nasty work. He can be like a good 6-man for them next to just come in and get fucking buckets. Cleveland Cavaliers on the board. Did the Magic not have a first? Oh, yeah, they traded it for Desmond Bane. Got it. Cleveland need. Cleveland could use some, I don't know. Wings. Cleveland needs wings. Allen Graves from Santa Clara. And the Mavericks with the last pick of the first round. It says Floyd Badunga. He's going to Louisville, so I don't even know. Like, a lot of these guys might actually be going back to school. But Tyler Tanner to the Mavericks. So they go with Tyler Tanner. Players selected, assets. They go Tyler Tanner. The Mavericks go Tyler Tanner and Michael Brown Jr. Nasty backcourt to try and help this young core they have going over there in Dallas. And that is your NBA Fire Sports Takes Mock Draft 1.0. I've got a lot of learning to do when it comes to this shit, man, with some of these players in the later rounds, especially the players that didn't play in college last year. Like Haynes Steinbach, who did play, didn't watch Washington. Not Isaiah, Jaden Quintance, Kareem Lopez, like some of these guys I'm going to have to do some extensive homework on. Amari Allen, who I just didn't watch that much. Allen Graves, I didn't watch too much Santa Clara. So these are some guys I'm going to have to do some homework on. So this is definitely like a college basketball bias type of mock draft because I'm not familiar with just prospects in general. I'm familiar with the guys that played in college. So that's where we're at right now. But I think if this situation did happen, let's see. I think the Warriors could get tremendous value. I think the Thunder make out like bandits. The Thunder with Isaiah Evans and Yaxel Lendenborg is nasty. Let's see what else. I think the Mavericks double dipping with Tyler Tanner and Mikel Brown Jr. could be nasty. Obviously, like if you get any of these top 6 picks, I think you're pretty golden. But yeah, that'll do it for today's episode, mate. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I love you guys. I'll do a mock draft probably every Monday, except maybe 1 or 2 leading up to the NBA draft. If you're listening to the podcast on YouTube or Spotify, let's do like a real quick headline reading. Let's see what's been going on in the NFL. See if there's anything that I didn't talk about that I might have missed. Let's see here. NFL home. And boys, I've not been totally locked in. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Klubnik unshaken by... Yeah, Cade Klubnik was apparently dropping dimes. Oh, Breece Hall got extended. I didn't even talk about the Breece Hall extension. Let's talk about the New York Jets, ladies and gentlemen. Because I think the New York Jets are building. I think the New York Jets will easily have the best landing spot for any rookie quarterback in next year's draft. When you look at their roster, the way it's currently constructed, they have a stud left tackle in Olu Fashanu, a stud right tackle in Armand Membu, Joe Tippmann, Josh Myers. They might have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL next year as long as those young right tackles stay healthy and continue to ascend. Garrett Wilson is an elite receiver stuck in QB jail. Omar Cooper Jr. is a solid player. Was one of my favorite receivers. He was my wide receiver 5 in last year's draft. The Jets traded back in the first round to get him. Kenyon Sadiq is listed as a tight end. He's basically a receiver. Anyway, so they got some weapons. They re-signed Breece Hall. And the reason I like the Breece Hall deal for the Jets so much is because they don't have a lot of... like the reason I like the Breece Hall deal with the Jets so much is because they don't have a lot of good players that need contracts soon. And with the length of Breece Hall's contract, by the time his contract's up, Armand Membu is going to need a contract. Olu Fashanu is going to need a contract. And then the year after that, you're going to need, or the years following that, you're probably going to need to pay if all goes a plan, your Omar Coopers or Kenyon Sadiqs in this year's class. So the timing of Breece Hall's contract makes a lot of sense when you look at the roster the Jets currently have. All of their good players are either under contract or young. And to be quite honest, they don't have a lot of good players. And the players that they did bring in this year was a bunch of team-friendly depth signings to just get some better talent overall on the roster with all the signings they made defensively, or the unks they brought in on the back end with your Mika Fitzpatrick's, to Mario Davis's, and the Sean Wrights. Like, it was not a whole lot of splash signings, just more of depth, establish the core of this depth chart on the defensive side of the ball, and then extend Breece Hall so that when you have a rookie quarterback next year, you can run the piss out of the football behind your really, really solid offensive line with a running back that has one of the best production as a pass catcher as well. What helps a rookie quarterback more than having a reliable X receiver, a freak tight end, a reliable check down target at the tight end position, or a reliable check down target in Breece Hall. So I think the Breece Hall extension, even though I am totally against paying running backs before, if your team's not ready to contend for a championship, the Jets didn't, like, they had the money, and it's not like they were going to spend it elsewhere. And by the time his contract is up, the timing makes complete sense. So I like the Breece Hall move. I think the Jets are in a really, really good spot moving forward. They have 3 first-round picks next year, plus the team's going to be better this year. Like, it's hard for them to be worse. Like, Geno Smith's better than Brady Cook. Geno Smith is better than Tyrod Taylor. Geno Smith is playing behind one of the worst offensive lines, throwing the ball to Trey Tucker. He goes now and plays behind I would think it would be one of the better offensive lines in the NFL next year, with Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., Kenyon Sadiq, Mason Taylor, Breece Hall. Way better weapons with a way better offensive line in front of him. Maybe Geno can have a little bit of a productive season again, and the Jets can win 5 or 6 games. But either way, they have 3 first-round picks next year. This offense is going to be good as long as the coaching staff can stay together and there's a little bit of a continuity, or they suck, coaching staff out, new coaching staff in, they get their guy, and then boom, the Jets are golden. So I think the Jets are moving in a pretty solid direction. The defense still needs a lot of improvement. Their secondary is not the greatest. I love the D'Angelo Ponce pick. I love the VJ Payne pick in the 7th round, but their corners are still really hairy. AZ Thomas, Nashawn Wright, not ideal. Their secondary is going to be better this year for Mika Fitzpatrick, but how much longevity does Mika give you at the position? Same thing with Demario Davis and Jameen Sherwood. That's a good LB duo, but Demario Davis is like 50. And then they don't have a premier edge rusher. Hopefully David Bailey can be that. Will McDonald on the other side is a really solid situational pass rusher, but he can't set the edge in the run game. They brought in a bunch of guys on the defensive line in free agency this year that I think help against the run. Devondre Sweat will be a good replacement on the interior for Quinnen Williams for the time being, even though obviously Devondre Sweat's not the player Quinnen Williams is. That was a major hole for them after they traded Quinnen Williams. Their offensive line is solid. Garrett Wilson's one of the best receivers in the NFL. He's just been in quarterback jail, and all you fantasy football nerds will be like, I don't know, man. He only averaged like 12 fantasy points per game. Go fuck yourself. Garrett Wilson's one of the best receivers in the NFL. The Jets are headed in the right direction as long as they land a quarterback. That remains to be seen. And I don't mind taking a shot on Brendan Sorsby if he goes into the supplemental draft or whatever the hell that process is that I have no idea about. The only problem with the Jets is that Woody Johnson still owns the team, and is that I don't think Aaron Glenn knows what the fuck he's doing, because one of the most important parts of being a head coach is the staff you bring in. Well, the staff he brought in year 1, he fired all of them. He fired every single one of them. And Tanner Engstrand, I thought, was a really solid offensive coordinator. Ben Johnson, head coaching tree, and he's gone now. I thought, for what he had to work with Justin Fields, the Jets' offense was honestly a little bit better. It was a top 10 rushing offense, even after Fields went down, with Breece Hall carrying. It was just Braylon Allen got hurt. They had the fumble problems earlier in the year. They turned the ball over too much. They didn't create any turnovers. You're not going to win games like that. But I don't think Tanner Engstrand was necessarily a bad offensive coordinator. They ran him out of town. Frank Reich comes in. Aaron Glenn rehauls his entire defensive side of the coaching staff, entire offensive side of the coaching staff. Does he know what the fuck he's doing? Like that. Woody Johnson owns the team, so I'm not going to get too optimistic. But I think Darren Mooney, the GM, has done a pretty solid job. We'll see how his first draft looks. I like that they address trenches in the mid-rounds. You guys know my philosophy. Don't waste mid-round picks on running backs and receivers. You spend the premium picks on running backs and receivers and like tackles and edge rushers. And then you spend your mid-round picks throwing darts on positions that are on the field a lot. Your defensive lineman, your offensive lineman. That's where the dart throws need to be. It needs to be shots on goal, shots on target. Throw your darts at the positions that are on the field the most. Maybe you hit on a starter on a cheap rookie contract, rather than just taking a mid-round running back in the taking a running back in the 5th round when you have Breece Hall on the roster, right? And that's just stupid. And we saw Joe Douglas do that all the time, and it was so frustrating. Like they would have running backs on the roster, and then they take Samaje Perine and Michael Perine in the 4th round for him to not be in the league 3 years later. Like, take your dart throws on linemen, trenches in the middle rounds. And I love that the Jets did that with the defensive lineman, forgetting where he's at, defensive lineman from Florida, and the offensive lineman, the interior offensive lineman from Miami, and then VJ Payne, solid player, and then Cade Klubnik or whatever. Apparently, Cade Klubnik was dotting in the first day of rookie minicamp, dotting shit up. So that makes me feel good. His 2024 tape isn't that bad. I really only watched the 2025 for the most part, and it was awful. But he was playing with some injuries, so maybe maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something with Cade. He was projected top 5 pick a year ago, so let's not forget that. That's the state of the Jets right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I love you guys, man. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode of the Fire Sports Takes podcast.